this intimacy is a big deal. It comes from countless conversations. It comes from untold hours of just watching. And I know when your kids are really young, you probably spend a little more time doing that, just looking at them, right? Especially when they're real little. You just look at them, and you can't get enough of just looking at them. But as they get older, you begin to not just look at them, but watch them. And watch what they do, and watch how they interact, and watch kind of what makes them tick. And over time, you kind of begin to get a feel for who they really are. As a person, not just as your child, but as a person, who they really are. I would say most of us in this room, if we're thinking back, for those of us whose kids are grown now, if you think back to when your kids were little and you watched them at an early age, you may have already identified in some of your children what you thought they were going to be in life. Kind of what they were created for, kind of what they were built to do, kind of what made them tick, you know. For some of you, maybe you watched your child who you thought was created to be a teacher, because at the end of the day, they'd come home and they'd teach their younger siblings what they learned at school. That happened to me. My sister did that. So by the time I started school, I was bored to death because she was a good little teacher. Or maybe you have a child who is very compassionate, and you can look at them and you just know they're going to grow up to be a nurse, or they're going to grow up to be a doctor, because they just have this compassion and they care about people. Maybe they're putting Band-Aids on their little dolls if they're little girls. And you kind of start to get this sense. Or maybe you have that child who every summer has a lemonade stand, and you go, this kid's going to be an entrepreneur. You just kind of get this feeling. Maybe your kid's bossy. That doesn't mean they're cut out to be a good boss. You got one of those? If most of us had little girls, we have bosses.